Some big issues of concern are starting to go around for the Wyatts, so we'll see what's up there. We'll also check in on John Cena, Solo Sikoa, and more. Starting things off with Solo because there's a lot of conversation going on about how things were handled there. Solo's entire story and direction obviously took a new shift after losing the tribal combat match. Solo did say that no matter what the result of the match was, he was going to honor it and respect the outcome. If he lost, he truly could not refer to himself as the tribal chief anymore. And that's exactly what happened. Solo Sikoa lost that match to Roman, so that's all over. Fans were curious to see about what they'll do with Solo Sikoa after that major loss. Will Solo just disappear and be impossible to reach for a long time? Basically what happened with Roman after WrestleMania 40. Or will Solo Sikoa end up sticking around and will be present? Will Solo miss the Smackdown after the tribal combat loss? But on that same episode, they were already advertising his return for the following week. So we get to the January 17th edition of Smackdown with the big return from Solo Sikoa, and it was not what anyone was expecting at all. Jacob and Tama clear out the ring by attacking Jimmy Uso and Carmelo Hayes. Solo gets in the middle of the ring with a microphone in his hands, but he dropped it and walked out of the arena through the fans. That was followed up by Jacob Fatu picking up the microphone and telling fans he's tired of all the disrespect and hate, and how he himself was just getting started. There was a lot of reports that were claiming that Creative was allegedly shifting things around with Solo Sikoa's segment up until the last possible moment, and that's what they went with. That Solo Sikoa walked out and was speechless. Why did Solo do this? Well, maybe the character thought he would be good to go after that 1 week off, but once he got there, he just felt the pressure and still upsets him about the loss to Roman. So it looks like the story is now going in that direction that a lot of fans thought it would go, and that's with Solo Sikoa vanishing for a decent amount of time, all while Jacob Fatu is left with no other choice but to rise up and take control of the new Bloodline. And considering the matter and how Solo Sikoa left SmackDown, it does look like it's going to come back up in the future and cause more conflict. Solo did not even say a word to Jacob or Tama about his plans to walk out. He just left right away and treated them like nothing. So assuming that Solo Sikoa is going to be missing for a decent amount of time, that means Jacob is going to have a lot of time to rise up and prove himself as a worthy leader for the new Bloodline. So that's when Solo Sikoa comes back. Solo's probably going to expect everything to fall back into place, just how he left it, but that's not going to be the case. After all these weeks of leading the group while Solo Sikoa left them completely in the dark, it seems very unlikely that Jacob will just allow Solo Sikoa to come back whenever he wants and take leadership back. It looks like they're definitely setting up for a big collision there between Jacob and Solo once Solo returns and expects Jacob to fall back in line as the enforcer. Jacob's probably going to hold that grudge against Solo Sikoa for leaving them so high and dry in the fashion that he did. So keep an eye on what Jacob gets up to here in the coming weeks, because it could be setting the stage for that conflict with Solo when he eventually returns. The WWE and TNA partnership still has a lot of fans hyped up with all the possibilities for big crossovers. We mentioned earlier in the week how, at least on paper, it seems like the partnership is actually just for TNA and NXT to work with each other, not much of the other WWE main roster. But that's not stopping fans of dreaming really big crossover expectations. Right when that partnership was first announced, one of the biggest theories was for John Cena to cross over and appear on TNA television. John Cena has never appeared on TNA television. He pretty much has not appeared for any other wrestling organization in the world since becoming a huge star in WWE. So something like that would be really using the partnership in the biggest way possible. 2025 is John Cena's last active year in the ring. So in terms of crossovers and crazy dream scenarios, this is the last chance. So how insane would it be if one of the stops on John Cena's farewell tour is an appearance on TNA television? Maybe just for a little promo, or maybe for a one-off match inside the TNA ring. Joe Hendry is now the TNA World Champion, and Joe is making a lot of buzz, saying that he envisioned himself wrestling John Cena in 2025. So what if that's how it falls into place? John Cena takes advantage of the partnership by paying a visit to TNA, And what if he wants to wrestle their top guy, their world champion? That means Joe Hendry is that opponent for Cena. Maybe John Cena gets desperate and wants the TNA world title on the line. Cena's made it already known that he's trying to pick up some big singles wins during this farewell tour, and even some world titles. So what if Cena wants the TNA world title on the line in that match? It would be pretty insane, and talk about must-see TV that's beneficial for both companies. You better believe that all TNA fans and WWE fans will be locked into TNA for John Cena's farewell stop there. It would technically be John Cena's TNA debut and last appearance ever. So a big one-night event of John Cena being in TNA would just be the biggest thing that could ever come from this partnership. John Cena added more fuel to this fan theory himself by posting the WWE and TNA logos onto his Instagram page. And we discussed John Cena's Instagram page before, but he uses that page by posting captionless photos that could have ambiguous meanings. So what John Cena simply acknowledged there, the partnership, or was he teasing a TNA appearance himself as well? We'll have to wait for that answer. Now let's get back into matters with Uncle Howdy and the Wyatt Sicks, because fans are starting to get a bit worried about them. This week made 1 complete month since the Wyatt Sicks last appeared on television. When they debuted, we were seeing even a small piece of content for them every single week on Raw. But once Raw went into 2 hours, their appearances started fading down every other week or every few weeks. But now that Raw is back to having a near 3-hour window, and even Smackdown a 3-hour window, the Wyatts are nowhere to be found. And WWE did announce that the Wyatt Sicks were traded to Smackdown. But on the January 17th edition of Smackdown, the group's first episode as Smackdown stars, there was absolutely nothing Wyatt related on the show. No hints, no teasers, no appearances, just nothing at all. So the fact that the Wyatts did not play a role there on the 3-hour edition of Smackdown, fresh out of their trade, that has fans extremely worried for the group. Because this whole time, fans were thinking that the appearances were limited due to time issues. But it's starting to look like it's due to creative issues. There's just nothing for them to do right now. Lots of fans expect their feud with the Final Testament to continue, or maybe even a new feud against the Judgment Day. But the trade to SmackDown eliminates both of those directions. So it looks like the Wyatts have officially entered a limbo sort of state. They have a blank canvas and a fresh start on SmackDown, but it unfortunately looks like they're not a priority at the moment. So this has fans wondering, what's next for the Wyatt Sicks? Will they just continue to be used in a limited fashion from here on out? Basically just like a special attraction that pops up every now and then and isn't a full-time part of the program. Some fans are even wondering if the group is off television right now because they're waiting for a story to kick off with Alexa Bliss. Alexa's return is imminent, but there's no word on if she'll be affiliated with the Wyatt Sicks or not. So maybe Alexa will be affiliated, and that's what the Wyatts are waiting for before being written back into television. There's a lot of question marks there, but hopefully the Wyatts are on SmackDown soon enough. But what are your thoughts on today's stories? Leave your comments below. Don't forget to subscribe with all notifications on, and leave a like if you enjoyed. Thanks for watching, guys.